Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the National Intel Report. I'm your host, John Stadtmiller, on this Tuesday, 16 December 08, ladies and gentlemen. And if it's Tuesday, you've come to the right place. Robert Chapman from the International Forecaster, Robbie Noel, that is on this network with his own program, The Flip Side.
The dollar in 3 or 4 months will be back to 71.16. It's going to take a terrible thrashing. Gold, on the other hand, will break out and go higher than its high before. Where that is, I don't know, 12, 15, 2,000. Look, when J.P. Morgan Chase and Citigroup come out and say gold's going to $2,000 an ounce, they're saying that for two reasons. Number one, they're getting their people in on the long side of the market.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, they're trying to set an abutment, a barrier at 2,000 already. This is psychological warfare. And they wanted to stop there because I think ultimately a year or two from now, they're going to reback the dollar with gold. It's the only way they can go. And by that time, 2 years, a year from now, the USDX will be down somewhere between 40 and 55.
And let me ask you this, Bob, because I've been contemplating this the last couple of days. There is going to come a point with all this bad liquidity, it's an oxymoron that's out there, that they're going to necessarily have to see an increase in gold prices to help stabilize currencies.
Exactly, and that means that they're going to have to return, whether they like it or not, all currencies to a gold standard. And if, woe begotten any country that doesn't have any gold left, and there's lots of them. Now, that brings up the final price. If you go back to 1980 and you figure in the inflation, it comes to somewhere close to $3,000. That's official.
Bob,
unofficial is over 6. Where is this going to drive us to? 9, 10, 50? I mean, who knows? All I can tell you is anybody who's buying gold coins in here now is going to be a multi-millionaire 3 or 4 years from now.
That's go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah, on Monday of last week, there was an interview conducted on Canadian Business Channel, and Graham Lee, the former Fed governor, was being interviewed by Neil Ferguson. And they were talking about, and actually Paulson even mentioned it today, and obviously all the commentators were talking about it, that the Federal Reserve is going to expand its balance sheet, which is kind of a nice thing to do if you can do it. But he also mentioned that it's possible that the Fed is going to revalue U.S. gold reserves. And he threw in figures of $5,000 to $10,000.
I had heard the same thing. Bob Chapman, Robbie Noel, John Stadtmiller. Bob, we got a break. We'll be right back. Go back to the same problem that we had back in the 30s. Folks, it took a couple of years since the stock market crash of 1929 to really come full bore on the economy. 32, 33, things really fell apart. But there's a difference. In 1930 America, it didn't lack in industrial capacity, fertile farmland, skilled and willing workers, or industrious farm families. And this is when we were coming out of the agrarian and going industrial in a big way, thanks to all the available credit and money that was available from our fractionalized reserve banking friends. Now, it had an extensive and highly efficient transportation system and railroads, which, by the way, were paid for. Road networks, well, they were to be improved. Inland and ocean waterways, communications between regions and localities were the best in the world. We were using teletype and telephone and radio then. We had a well-operated government mail system. It wasn't in debt. And I think to send a letter back then was, I think, a penny. There's no war that ravaged the cities or countryside. We didn't have pestilence that weakened the population. We didn't have famine that stalked the land. The United States of America in 1930 lacked only one thing, as today, an adequate money supply to carry on trade and commerce. In the early 30s, the bankers, the only source of new money and credit, they deliberately refused loans to industries, stores, and farms, much as you see right now. Now, payments on the existing loan. Now, here's another problem. payments on existing loans, they were still required as they are today. And money rapidly disappeared from circulation, just as it is right now. Now, goods were available to be purchased. We still have stocks and stores of stuff out there, but hardly any money to buy it with. Jobs were waiting to be done, but the lack of money brought the nation to a standstill. And it's exactly the same scenario we have right now. There is no liquidity, but we weren't choked on credit debt in 1930 the way we are today. And as I said earlier, gentlemen, if this thing had a ghost chance in hell of even having the illusion of slowing this crash down, the money should have been injected immediately into the credit markets, immediately, up front. Worry about the illiquid banks later. Gentlemen, I think people have a clear understanding of what's going on. They're just not being honest about it. And I'm starting to see commercials, guys. I cannot believe this, that they're promoting their talking heads of having vast pools of knowledge, and they're being honest with you. They're now starting to promote individual honesty, that they're bringing up the talking heads and their vast pools of experience, and, well, we're here to tell you the truth. They haven't uttered one word of truth.
The system has been set up and will continue to be operated on a basis of failure. All of this is being done deliberately. Offshoring, globalism, outsourcing, free trade, that killed the industrial capacity. Now we have a credit crisis that doesn't have to exist. Hello?
Yes. We're here.
I heard somebody cut in on my end. The credit crisis has been created. It's for consolidation within the banking, brokerage, insurance industries first, and they'll go after other things later, so that you'll have 3 or 4 or 5 players in the entire endeavor, whether it's raising wheat or building buildings, whatever. And that's where we're headed. It's a total corporatist fascist society, and they're going to make a one-world government out of it if they can. And you can't stop them through Congress. It's going to end up in the streets, and they know that. And what we do is we get to them, and that's the only way we're going to stop them. European automakers, Japanese, Chinese, they're all in the same boat. The market isn't there. They've been giving away cars for 6 years, and you can't give them away anymore. People are losing their jobs. They're borrowed up to their limit. Banks will only give loans, mortgages, companies the same, loans for people who have FOICs of 720 or higher or the equivalent thereof. They're making plenty of loans. They're doing plenty of mortgages, but only to those people. The FHA, Fannie, and Freddie are doing the mortgages below 720. And I would say 80% of small business are not getting loans, but the big corporations at good credit are getting loans.